My mom's text woke me at 3 a.m. Your stepfather isn't who he says he is. Get your brother out now. I didn't hesitate. The phone screen lit up my bedroom ceiling with cold blue light, and I read the message 3 times before my brain accepted what my eyes were seeing. Mom had been on a nursing shift at the hospital since yesterday afternoon, wouldn't be home until 7 this morning, and she never texted during work unless someone was dying. The message violated every pattern of her careful, methodical communication style, which meant something had shattered her usual protocols completely. I was 19 and home from college for winter break, old enough to recognize when adults were overreacting versus when they were operating from genuine terror. This text radiated the kind of fear that came from discovering something so wrong it couldn't wait for morning explanations or careful conversations. My stepfather Greg had been part of our lives for 3 years, married to Mom for 18 months, and he'd always seemed aggressively normal in ways that made me vaguely uncomfortable without being able to articulate why. The discomfort felt petty and ungrateful considering he'd helped pay my tuition and treated my little brother Caleb with patient kindness that our biological father had never managed. I threw off my blankets and grabbed jeans from the floor, pulling them on while my mind raced through possibilities for what Mom could have discovered. Greg worked night security at a downtown office complex, supposedly making rounds and monitoring cameras from a desk job that seemed boring enough to be legitimate. Nothing about his daily routine suggested hidden criminal activity or secret double lives, but Mom wouldn't send this message unless she'd found something concrete and terrifying. I shoved my feet into sneakers without tying them and grabbed my phone charger and wallet, operating on instinct that told me we wouldn't be coming back here tonight. Caleb was 14 and slept like the dead, completely undisturbed by my frantic movement in the room across the hallway. His door was covered with band posters and gaming tournament flyers, normal teenage decoration that suddenly felt precious and fragile, like evidence of an innocence about to be destroyed. I eased his door open and found him buried under his comforter with headphones still in his ears, his phone screen casting a faint glow across his face where he'd fallen asleep watching videos. Waking Caleb quietly was nearly impossible under normal circumstances, but waking him with urgency while keeping him silent would require strategy I wasn't sure I possessed. I pulled one earbud out carefully and shook his shoulder, watching his eyes crack open with the glazed confusion of someone torn from deep sleep. Before he could speak or make noise, I put my hand over his mouth and leaned close to whisper directly into his ear. Mom sent an emergency message about Greg. We need to leave the house right now without him knowing. I'll explain everything once we're safe, but you have to trust me and stay completely silent. Caleb's eyes went wide with sudden alertness, the kind of instant wakefulness that fear produces, and he nodded against my palm. I released his mouth and handed him clothes from his closet, jeans and a hoodie that he pulled on over his sleep shirt with shaking hands. His phone had at least 70% battery, and I made him pocket it along with his earbuds, knowing we might need every resource available once we figured out where we were actually going. Greg's bedroom was downstairs at the end of the hallway near the back door, positioned so he could hear anyone coming or going, which I'd previously attributed to his security guard instincts rather than anything sinister. But now that detail took on new meaning, suggested someone who monitored the household with professional vigilance rather than normal parental awareness.